Welcome to Dead Dynasty's first gun video. Today we're going to disassemble and reassemble this Ruger 1022. We'll also talk about a couple nice modifications you can do just to make the gun a little bit sweeter. And we'll also go over a little problem that can occur if you're just learning how to take these apart for your first time. It can happen to the best of us. It's happened to me, and I've seen it happen to many other people. So we'll try to do this as quickly as possible, so let's begin. So we're going to need a few tools to do this job. I've got a flathead screwdriver, got a 4mm hex key, I got a couple pin punches, 1/16 and 1/8. I got my hammer, just a little hammer, and a pair of pliers. And we're going to use our flashlight to do our safety check, and I've also got my rotary tool, and I'm going to use this to do one of the modifications, and we'll get to that one a little bit later. Now we're going to do our safety check before we disassemble this gun. Got to make sure everything is clear of any ammunition. We don't want any accidents to happen or anyone to get hurt. So we're all clear. And I did check the barrel before filming this video, and what I like to use is one of these nice little barrel lights. This one's made by Real Avid. I got it on Amazon for probably under 10 bucks. It's got a magnet on the back. It works pretty good. I like this. So yeah, if you want to properly inspect your gun and make sure it's safe, always inspect the barrel with a barrel light. Now that we've done our safety check, we're going to release the bolt. Now this is one of the main modifications I want to talk to you guys about, because when you buy a Ruger 1022 stock out of the factory or the store or whatnot, to release the bolt you have to toggle the bolt release down here, this little tab. And it's really annoying if you want to start shooting quickly, or if you have to start shooting quickly. So I'm going to show you today how you can get rid of that and make it automatic, so you don't have to mess around with anything. You can just start having fun or protecting yourself or hunting or whatnot right on the spot. So we're going to take out the takedown bolt, takedown screw right here. I've already basically loosened everything up to make the video quicker. It'll come loose and it won't come out all the way. You can take it out all the way if you wish, but you don't have to. I'm going to take my flathead screwdriver, loosen up this screw, barrel band comes off. Now this is going to slide right out, but what you will probably have to do is take your safety and put your safety at a medium position, because it will catch on the stock. You put it in the medium position, it should slide out without a problem, and there you have it. You've got your action removed from the stock. So we'll put that aside. And now what we've got left here is 3 pins that have to come out. Oh, and actually you can see these pins are very loose. They like to come out on their own, basically. So it doesn't take much to remove them. I'll take my pins, slide these out, and there we have it. We've got our trigger group. I'll put this to the side just for now. We're going to take that apart in just a second. First, we're just going to look at this bolt and this charging handle. So what I have done, this is another modification I've done. The charging handle that Ruger sends in with the gun it's good, it works great, but the handle, the length of the handle, I don't know if you can see there, it's like minuscule. It's like a centimeter to grab onto. You're pinching it with your fingers and it's a pain. What I've got here is made by Volquartsen, and I ordered this from Brownells, and it has done me no wrong. It's got the same characteristics as this, same length, everything's the same except the handle. I can actually grab it and manipulate it fast as you can imagine. The only thing is I actually think the tolerances are a little bit tighter than Ruger's charging handle. So it does make removing the bolt a little bit more difficult. So what we're going to do is we're going to bring it back. And what I usually have to do is lift it up slightly. And then as you can see, I can remove the charging handle here. And I'm going to pull that right out. And once that comes out, the bolt will literally just drop out the bottom. And there you have it. Now we're looking at a nice bolt. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to take this apart and take the trigger group apart. Now we'll disassemble this bolt by first removing the extractor right here. And I like to take my 1/16 pin punch, and as you can see there's a plunger right here. They call it the extractor plunger. And what I do is I push that down and I kind of lock it in with one hand. And then you can see your extractor. I mean, it basically, mine just falls right out. I've cleaned it so many times. So you could use your pliers if you need to. I didn't need to. Mine's just worked. So now this extractor plunger is under tension. So you don't want to just let it go, or else this will go flying across the room. So there we have it. Our extractor is out. We've taken out our plunger. Now we're going to remove the firing pin. So I'll take my 1/8 pin punch, and what we're going to do is we're just going to remove this firing pin stop right here. So I'll take the pin punch and just slam this out. A lot of people don't remove the firing pin when cleaning. I mean, it's not really necessary. 22 LR is pretty dirty ammo, but there's other ways of cleaning under here without removing the firing pin every time, but I'm gonna do it for this video. So this is where the magic happens, right here. There's your firing pin, and underneath it we've got a spring. This is also under tension. I don't know if you can see that there, but there's a spring inside. And that spring catches at the back of the firing pin right here. So when you're going to put this back in, you kind of drop it down from the back. And then I'll hold it from the top and basically just get this started. And then you're going to push the firing pin forward. I'll kind of hold it with my two hands, or my two fingers I mean. Get that set. And then beat that pin back in there. Firing pin is back in and functioning properly. So now we'll take our extractor plunger, put that back in. You don't really need any tools to put back the extractor either. I mean, this, it'll just slide in and you'll hear a pop. When you hear it click like that, it's set and functioning properly. And there you have it. Our bolt is disassembled and reassembled pretty quick. So if this is the first time you're disassembling a Ruger 1022 trigger guard, you really want to pay attention to detail. You don't want to mix up any of the springs or anything. There are quite a few parts in this trigger guard. So I like to start down here with this pin. They come out pretty easy. Take that one out. The next one I'm going to take out is right here. Now this one here, it's got my ejector connected to it, and it's also holding down this spring. This is the bolt lock spring. So it is under tension. When we push this through, we can grab out our ejector, and I just like to keep my finger there just for when that pops. Now we'll take our magazine plunger, push this in, remove our magazine release. We'll pull out the plunger. Now we're going to take out our bolt release. Now this bolt release I want to talk about, because when you buy the Ruger 1022 stock, like I said earlier, you got to toggle the bolt release to actually release the bolt. It gets pretty annoying. And what you find is when you buy this gun, this is what the bolt release will look like stock from the factory. It's almost like a little heart shape. So what I like to do, and what I think everyone who owns a Ruger 1022 should do, is you want to take a rotary tool such as this. I bought this one, seriously, I bought it on Amazon. It's a Wen rotary tool. I bought it on Amazon for like 25 bucks. I think I spent 10 bucks on the grinding tip, the bit. And all I did was I ground out all that material. Grind out that material so it looks like this, and you've now got yourself an automatic bolt release. You don't have to toggle with anything. You can just start shooting. And this rotary tool, I've used it many times, not just on guns, but it was well worth the 25 bucks that I spent. You can buy a Dremel. Dremel's really good. I mean, you can spend money and buy a Dremel, but like I said, I spent 25 bucks, and that Wen rotary tool has done me very well. Okay, so now we've got our bolt release out. So now I'm going to take the safety off. And I'm going to release the hammer. And now back here is the hammer strut. So I'm just going to push this forward. Pull out my hammer strut. So now we can push the pin through that's holding the hammer and the bolt lock spring. Dump out our hammer, bolt lock spring. Now we're going to remove the trigger. So this pin's holding the trigger in. Really simple. Push that through. Now you notice this pin, these three are all the same length. The one's a little bit wider. This pin's shorter than the rest. The short pin is the one you're going to want for your trigger. So now our trigger assembly comes out. We've got our sear spring. We've got our disconnector here. And we've got our trigger. Now what I did one time when I was a rookie, I just dumped everything out of this trigger guard. I basically took out the pins, I dumped everything out, and I ended up mixing up. This is the last piece that I gotta take out. This is your trigger plunger. And what I did was I ended up mixing up my trigger plunger spring with my sear spring. And there's a huge difference in size. And I mixed them up and I put the gun back together. And what happened was the trigger wouldn't engage. unless you push it forward. You pull the trigger forward. Now it will engage one time, but it will not reset. And it was a stupid move on my part. It was a rookie move. But you know what? I've learned that it's happened to many people. So I just wanted to make note of that in this video, that you do not want to just dump everything out and mix up these two springs, because you'll end up sitting there frustrated for a while. So the longer spring of the two goes onto the trigger plunger. So now our trigger guard is disassembled. Another thing I wanted to note was the hole that the trigger plunger goes into is actually drilled on an angle. So if you're looking at this for your first time and you think, oh, I got a defective gun, well, no, you don't. It's actually drilled on an angle, so don't worry about it. So we're going to slide our trigger plunger back in. We're going to take our disconnector and our trigger. We're going to fit these two through and slide in this pin. Just like that. Now we're going to take our sear. It's going to fit in here. The spring will fit right into that hole. And then I like to keep it on this angle so that the trigger plunger doesn't fall out. What I like to do is kind of slide the trigger through. Get it to a nice point there. This is probably the most difficult part about putting this back together. Now that we've got our holes set, pop our pin back in. And now what you might have to do is just push down in here and just set it. Make sure everything's set. You'll hear it click. So now once we've got our trigger back in place, what we're going to do is we're going to take our hammer, and the hammer is going to fit in like this. But before we do that, we're going to take our bolt lock spring. And now you'll see our bolt lock spring has this little angle right here. So that angle is going to go down here. And now if you have an old Ruger 1022, they used to come with bushings on either side of the hammer. This one's a newer style, so I don't have any of the bushings. But you can kind of see there how it should go together. So now I'm going to drop this in place. I'm actually going to push the hammer forward. Let me try that again. Maybe this is the most difficult part I'm having. Okay, so there. Now our hammer is in place. And now what I'm going to do is take my hammer strut. I'm going to drop it in the back here. So it fits in this hole right in the back. And as you can see, you just want it to line up just like that. I'm going to lock it back in place. Now once you've got your hammer set, I like to put on the safety, because if you accidentally hit the trigger and this thing comes flying forward, you might pinch your finger or whatnot. And I'll keep this bolt lock spring placed in the rear position. So now we will take our magazine plunger. I'm going to push this in all the way. Take my magazine release, and this just fits right up inside there. And as you can see, the magazine plunger just holds everything in place for the time being. Now I'm going to take my bolt release, which we've grinded out, made it automatic. What I'm going to do is I'm going to slide this right in here, up the side, and just ease it through. Adjust everything here. And we can see we've got a nice clear path for our pin to slide through. So the last thing we're going to do is now we're going to take our bolt lock spring, push everything forward, and I like to push this down with my finger when I enter this pin, because the bolt lock spring has to go underneath the pin. So we're going to push that down, put the pin in so that it's back under tension. Then we're going to take our ejector, slide that over the pin, and push everything back together. And then our ejector sits right there perfectly. And there you have it. We have our trigger guard back together. Now that we've got our trigger assembly all back together, we're going to install the bolt back into this receiver. So we'll start with our charging handle. We're going to put this in right back to this point here. Bring this back all the way. And we're going to take our bolt, drop it in the front like such, force it down, and release. Now we've got our bolt back in place. And one thing I'd like to mention is I use a bore snake to clean this rifle, but I've actually seen guys in the past drill a hole in the back here. If you want to feed like a cleaning rod through with patches, it's not going to damage anything. You can do it if you want to, but the bore snakes do work just fine. So now we're going to take our trigger group, and I just want to make note that this ejector does need to be in the forward position. We're going to slide this in place, take our pins, and last our buffer pin. I always seem to feed mine through the back. It always seems to work better for some reason. And now you just want to make note when putting this back into the stock that the safety does need to be in that medium position for everything to fit back in nice and snug. So once that's in place, we're going to tighten up our bolt here. And then we're going to slip on our barrel band. Last piece of the puzzle. Tighten this up. And there we have it. We got our Ruger 1022 all back together. And now, as you can see, we lock the bolt open. And because of that nice little modification we did, we don't have to toggle with anything down here. We can just simply release it and start shooting. It's a very nice modification. I think everyone should do it. I think Ruger should actually just make the bolt release like that out of the factory, but anyways, it gives us something to do with our tools. So we hope you enjoyed this video. It's Dead Dynasty's first video. There's going to be many more to come. Please check us out on Twitter, Facebook, while we wait for the website to get up and running. And yeah, we hope to see you guys again shortly. Take care.